Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Accessible Adventures, a travel and accessibility podcast with Colwyn and Frances. I'm Colwyn Dunlap, and my co-host over there is Mrs. Frances Wampler.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us for episode 4 of our podcast.
Yes, we don't know what the title will be, but you'll see whenever we get there. It's probably going to be accessible food at Disney Springs or something like that, because that's what we're talking about today is food at Disney Springs. Ooh. One of my favorite places to visit.
I think I love Disney Springs. I think these next couple episodes are all going to be about food.
Yes.
Because we've talked about food the last couple of episodes, and so it just feels fitting that we dedicate a few episodes directly to all the food that we love at Disney World in Florida. I'm ready to dive into Disney Springs.
Only if it's off the balloon.
The balloon.
The hot air balloon?
You mean dive?
Uh-huh.
Like dive? That took me a minute. I was like, what is he talking about?
Yeah, put a bungee on me and let me jump out.
Oh. It's too early. I haven't had enough coffee yet. Well, Disney Springs, if you haven't been, is the shopping and dining area of Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. They have a similar version in Anaheim, California at Disneyland called Downtown Disney. They're a little different, but kind of similar feel. But today, we're talking exclusively about Disney Springs and some of our favorite places to visit. And we're going to rate them on a scale of 1 to 5. So 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest, of how accessible we think each of these locations are, and also how good we think they are. Because they're not always the same rating, right?
Correct, yeah.
Correct. So we're going to start with my personal favorite. I have to preface, I feel like I say that this is my favorite to just about everything.
Same.
But really, this is one of my favorites. Gideon's Bakehouse at Disney Springs.
Dang it.
I feel like I could eat
I have we have the bag saved over there because we're going to put it on the wall. I was going to go grab it and be like, Gideon's! I have the sticker on my back of my computer, so yeah, I also agree. Yeah.
I have the t-shirt, the swag. I should have wore it today. But Gideon's Bakehouse is a bakery there in Disney Springs, and they make giant half-pound cookies. They also serve slices of cake, and you can also buy the whole cake if you'd like. And then they have some other kind of random things that they sprinkle in. They've got cookie bites where they chop up the cookie and dip it in chocolate from the ganachery. And then they have cold brew iced coffees, which are delicious. So my accessibility rating, I feel bad, but it's going to be a 3.
I would give it
3.
That as well. 3.5. Yeah. Because you can go in on the ramp. It's just a very narrow ramp, and it's always packed. Yeah. But otherwise, you have to go.
So you have to kind of go around.
Yeah.
To get to the ramp, you have to go around and then cut back. And then even once you're inside, there's no stairs or anything inside. It's pretty flat, but it's very tight, through the queue inside, and it's dark, which is all part of the vibe,
the Haunted Mansion-esque
which
vibe.
I love.
Yeah.
Yes, I love the vibe, but I do think that accessibility wise it can be challenging. It can be challenging. They do have a virtual queue on the weekends, so you can join the virtual queue if you go up that side where the ramp is, talk to a cast member that will be holding a tablet. You can join the virtual queue, and they will text you when it's your turn to get in line. If it's during the week, they typically don't do it unless the line gets really long. Usually it's just on the weekends.
Yeah, the picture that I'm using of us while we're, for this episode is You've seen the picture. You liked it. It's our faces when we saw our cookies. Luna's is like almost shock, and me, I'm like, yeah, you know. So, so that's what that
If you haven't
picture
been to
context is.
Gideon's, yeah, I'll have to find one of us from Gideon's to use for this episode. But if you haven't been and you like sweets, I definitely recommend it. I would give them a 5.
Oh yeah.
On the taste scale.
I might be willing to give them a 6.
On the 1 out of 5 rating, you're giving them a 6.
Yes. Yeah. On the 1 out of 5 rating, it's a 6. Yeah. But yeah, I totally agree with the 3.5 thing, and you know, that was one of the first places that we went to whenever we got to Disney Springs, because we knew we wanted to go there. So we went there. We got on the queue. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the hot hour or whatever it's called, because that was already like sold out long time before we got up there. But we got there. We put our names on the list. I can't remember if it was right after or right. I think it was like an hour after our lunch, so it was perfectly timed. You know. And we got 2 cookies. I distinctly remember I got the peanut butter, like salted peanut butter chip cookie, and she got their classic or original chocolate chip. You know, she's not a big peanut butter and chocolate person, so she wasn't a big fan of my cookie. I loved my cookie. And hers was just one of the, I will still say it's the best chocolate chip cookie I've ever had. You know. So it was phenomenal. So we highly recommend that one. And if you have accessibility issues, like if you're in a wheelchair or something, it's the queue is wide enough for you to fit. I remember because somebody was in there with a stroller, you know, and it was one of the wider strollers. That whenever we were in there, it had 2 kids in it. You know, that's just to say how wide it was. So yeah. It's wide enough to fit your wheelchair. The line usually moves pretty quickly. From what I remember, once you're inside, it moves, you know, pretty efficiently. So if you have a problem standing, it shouldn't be too much of a big deal. Just be prepared to stand outside once you get your notification for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, so they do kind of start that line. Once it's your turn to get in line, they line up just right out front. And so just be prepared. There is kind of a ledge you could sit as the line kind of moves. But you mentioned Hot Cookie Hour, and I feel like we need to tell the people about Hot Cookie Hour. It happens twice a day, from 2 to 3 and 7 to 8. And so you'll get that classic chocolate chip cookie hot out of the oven with a giant scoop of ice cream on top. So good. Game changer as far as Gideon's cookies go. My favorite cookie that they have is the pistachio toffee.
I almost got
cookie.
That one.
They have that one all the time. It's so good. I do like the cookie bites too. And then they always do like a cookie of the month. So every month it'll be different. And I like to try the cookie of the month. Typically they have some pretty creative flavors. And then I always have to have a peanut butter cold brew iced coffee. Every time.
So I would say that we also could add in another rating, and that would be like either an ambience or something kind of a rating to the restaurants, you know, ambience or Disney association, how well they do that to some extent, you know. For Gideon's, I would give like the ambience of Gideon's a 4.5, if not a 5 itself. As a fan of like
they have a whole lot.
Yeah, as a fan of the Gothic architecture and the pseudo romantic, you know, dark emo ness that Luna and I love, we were obsessed with the characters that were there. You know, because they have a wall that is done very similar to or all the artwork and stuff is done like the Haunted Mansion, and they have characters, and a new character is introduced every month, and you'll get a card that you can get a card that tells that character's little story. We got the storybook of it, of of them, and it's so much fun to read. It's so on point, and if you love that kind of little, easy souvenir to get, cheap souvenir to get, you can't go wrong with those. Like Luna and I both bought like 3 stickers and the patch, or not the patch, the storybook. My the card is in one of like my favorite Victorian horror story books, that's from that era. So I just love that it's there, that it has that ambience to it, and I would definitely recommend, if you have that love, especially of the Haunted Mansion, that's your jam.
Yeah, I love the immersion. They did a good job. The stories are so much fun, and they tie it together, and there's always some cute little thing that they're doing, like the stickers or the candles or the each of the different characters will typically get a t-shirt, or they'll add it to some sort of swag. So I could spend so much time in Gideon's and just talking about it, but definitely let us know in the comments if you've been there and if you agree with our rating.
Or if you disagree, tell us why.
Next. Yeah, absolutely. If you disagree, tell us why and what your thoughts are.
Yeah.
All right.
What's next?
Shall we continue on our path?
Yes.
All right. Next up is the Boathouse at Disney Springs. This is a table service restaurant not too far from Gideon's Bakehouse. You'll see little cars kind of driving in and out of the water kind of over there, and so that's the area that you'll head to if you are visiting the Boathouse. I forget, have y'all been to the Boathouse?
No, that's something that we were talking about doing this next time we go. We were talking about it last night. We were like, all right, I think we're just gonna devote this trip to boats, because we're going on a cruise too. So if we go to Disney Springs, we're gonna do that. If we go to Magic Kingdom, because I still haven't ridden the boat on there, to go to Tom Sawyer Island or whatever. I'm like, I need to do that. So Luna was like, we're just going to devote everything to being on a boat this time around. So.
Yeah. Well, when y'all visit the Boathouse, you'll have to let me know what you think. We really enjoy the atmosphere. Accessibility wise, I gave it like a 4. There are a lot of tables in there, and there's a lot of people. So it's one of those kind of busy restaurants that could pose a challenge to just kind of getting in and out if you have a wheelchair or an ECV. I drive an ECV when I'm on Disney property, and so I found a place to park it kind of outside under a covered little area. And so that was kind of nice that there is that option kind of over there that you can park your ECV, or if you can transfer. But it is kind of tight in there as far as like the amount of tables and people that are in there. But that was my rating. I know you haven't been, so you may not have one rating for the Boathouse.
Yeah, let's put NA next to me on that one. Yeah, because I haven't been, and I don't want to say anything that would get me in trouble, but also I will go, and I can say, hey, this is a future rating. Come back to this video. I may put it in the comments somewhere.
Yeah,
that's going to be in a couple of months.
Maybe in October.
Yeah, maybe in October too. Yeah.
I'm just going to continue to slip that in there until we make that happen.
Yes.
As far as taste goes, it's a really kind of like a nicer restaurant. They have lots of yummy food. It is a little bit more expensive, but it's worth, I think, worth every penny. It's very good. I would give it a 5. So if you're looking for like that nicer sit down restaurant with the family, something that everybody will love, they do have lots of seafood options, but then they have other things like chicken and steak and some different things like that. So it's not too adventurous as far as food goes. Everybody has been able to find something that they enjoy.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would just say that from what you've told me and from what I've read about, that the Boathouse is probably, somebody mentioned that it was kind of like a surf and turf version of Le Cellier, which I don't know. I don't know about that, so I was wondering what your thoughts would be regarding that statement.
The Boathouse to me is like that very like summer on the water vibe. So maybe that surf and turf for Le Cellier, but Le Cellier to me feels like you're, I don't know, like you're walking into like a wine cellar,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that's what it's supposed to be.
Whereas the Boathouse, there's like boats and big windows so you can see outside. It's right there on the water at Disney Springs. So food wise,
Okay.
surf and turf with steaks and things is probably pretty accurate, but the vibe is a little different.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good. Okay. See, that's my perfect kind of food.
Yeah.
I love both surf and turf. So, woo.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of good food, right there on the water, we're hopping back, same area as the previous 2 that we've talked about, is Jock Lindsey's Hangar Bar.
Yes. Yeah, we've both, all of us have been there.
It is a bar, but there's food that you can order there. They have a pretty good offerings for kids. My kids really enjoy it. Accessibility wise, the tables inside, you've got booths and then you've got tall tables. So that might pose a challenge if you can't transfer, if you're in a wheelchair or ECV. There is some seating outside. You can pull your ECV or wheelchair up to one of those tables. It kind of poses some of the same challenges that I've already mentioned, as far as there can be lots of people at one time, and so it can be pretty tight. If you go early, like right around lunchtime, it's not as busy, and so you can pull right up to the tables, or you can park, right out front. So accessibility wise, I would give it a 4. There's not a ton of like meal options, and so for taste, I gave it a little bit lower. I was thinking like a 4 to a 4.5, only because of the limited number of snacks that they have there. It's more of like a snack location. What do you think? Do you agree?
So, for the most part, I do agree on all of those statements. So, when we went, I couldn't remember if we could set up a time to go or not. That's not one that you can sign up for, right? I didn't think so. So when we went, we distinctly, like, Jock Lindsey's was toward the top of our list of places to at least go. Partially because I liked the bar idea, and then the other part was that it's related to Indiana Jones, who is one of my fictional heroes. And Jock Lindsey, for those of you guys that are like, what does he have to do with anything? He's the pilot at the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark that Indy runs up and gets in the plane and flies off. That's why it's a hangar bar, and you can see that kind of element throughout the whole bar. There's even a couple of references to Dr. Jones there. Like, I spent a good 15 minutes just walking around and reading everything that was there. So if you like another thing that has some Easter eggs to it, like last year they celebrated one of the, I think it was it Raiders of the Lost Ark was like 35 or something years old or something like that, and they had a bunch of like props and stuff from the movie there. Not long after we left, unfortunately. So it was there, and that was really cool. But As far as food goes, yeah, it's more of a light lunch or kind of an appetizer thing. We had some of the best sliders that I've ever had there. We got the sliders, and then we also got like I think some sweet potato fries, or some of their like oh no garlic fries. That's what it was to go with those
Mm-hmm.
sliders, and that was our lunch. And oh man, we loved it. In fact, like whenever I mentioned going back to Disney Springs, Luna was like, "Ooh, Jock Lindsey's," you know. And I was like, "All right, well that sounds good to me," you know. Also for drinks, they make a fantastic old fashioned there. And I'm a big whiskey
They
drinker,
do.
so that's, almost a connoisseur of whiskeys. And so it's really good there.
We like they have some wings
Hmm.
that are really good. If you're talking accessibility and eating, these are messy and not going to be at the top of the list for accessible snacks. Um,
Just dive your face
but
in.
they're
It's
really
okay.
good. Yeah, just dive in. It's good. It's good. And we like their little tacos. They come out in one of those like taco
Hmm.
holders, which is kind of nice. Which kind of adds to that like helpful
Hmm.
snacking kind of rating. But we are at Jock Lindsey's Hangar Bar just about every time we go.
Hmm.
So
They do
we
if
enjoy it. The husband likes the old fashioned.
hmm they do also if you need, they'll give you a finger bowl or whatever, like the wet wipe, you know. Because I had to have
Mm-hmm.
one. Um, so you can ask for one, so it doesn't get too messy, you know. Like I said, just dive in your
Mm-hmm.
face and eat everything you're gonna eat, and then clean up after.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
rule whenever I eat anything messy. Just eat everything that you're gonna eat first, and then clean up. Because if you eat and then
And then
clean
clean
up,
up.
yeah, it's not. If you just take a bite and then clean up your hand, it's like, well, I'm just gonna get it dirty again. What's the point, you know? So eat it all
Mm-hmm.
and then clean up.
Yeah. Oh, makes me want a taco
It
real bad.
makes me want those sliders real bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So our next location
Mm-hmm.
in the same, I feel like I'm in one spot in Disney Springs and I'm just like turning. So this is Wine Bar George. It is right across from Jock Lindsey's Hangar Bar, right before you get to the Boathouse. It's all kind of right there in the same area. And I would give this, I've been once, but I would give it a 5 out of 5 on accessibility. It is
Hmm.
2-story. There is an elevator. They had it was kind of early, so I could take my ECV all the way to the table. They found me a little spot to park inside, which you don't always get to do. If you're able to transfer, a lot of these restaurants will encourage you to park somewhere outside
Hmm.
and then walk in. They didn't even ask. They were just like, come on. And George himself was there that day
Oh.
and he seated us. Yeah. Yeah. He seated us, which was awesome just to see like the guy that owns the business, interacting with customers.
Hmm.
He spent a little bit of time with us after he seated us, getting us situated, made sure I was comfortable,
Hmm.
told us about his restaurant. Granted, they had just opened, so there wasn't a ton of people, but I just felt like we got a lot of time just to chat and it felt very comfortable. It didn't feel like, well, you're going to have to find somewhere to park that or,
Hmm.
we can't bring that all the way in or it just felt super easy,
Hmm. Hmm.
super easy. 10 out of 10 recommend Wine Bar George. We really liked the food. This is another one of those like heavy appetizer places. So we got like a charcuterie board, which was giant. There was 4 of us adults at the time that I went. So charcuterie board. We also got the flamin' cheese, which was so good. It comes out like on a hot pad and they are like lighted on fire. Um,
You're
but then
speaking
the
my
one that
language.
takes like, yeah, they have mac and cheese balls, like fried mac and cheese.
Okay, nope, we're going there.
I mean, yeah. Say no more.
Yeah,
I will be at Wine Bar George.
I'm going to make a statement here, and I'm not going to be, I'm not going to, sit here and beat around the bush. My wife loves mac and cheese almost as much as she loves me, so we need to go there.
Yes, you
She
do.
didn't directly tell me that. I just
good.
know it.
Yeah.
I see the way she looks at it and the way she talks about
I
it.
feel
Yeah.
that.
I mean, we make our own. We
And
make
there
our
is
own homemade mac and cheese, so we love it. You know, that's one of our favorite things to
and
make.
there's a lot of places.
Hmm.
There's a lot of places at Disney World and Disney Springs in general to get mac and cheese. But if you like the fried mac and cheese, it comes on like a little bed of like a mozzarella sauce, not mozzarella, marinara.
Oh, nope.
Marinara
She's
sauce.
sold.
Yep. Yep. I
You're,
think I have a photo. I'll have to send it to Luna and say,
yes.
here, you have to try.
Please do, and then she's gonna be like, "Oh, where is that?" So that will be that will be where we eat probably the next time we go to Disney Springs. Yeah.
I'm giving you all of these food places, and you're like, yes, we have to eat there next time.
Yes.
Yes, we have to eat there next time.
Set up like 5 different times to eat all of the things. Get fat, spend all the money. Get fatter, let me say that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. We have one more
Okay.
on our locations of Disney Springs. There's so many places to eat. We could talk for hours about the food and things at Disney Springs. But the last one kind of on this list is Raglan Road.
Ooh, yes.
Another table service location in that same area, not too far away from Gideon's. So just head back towards Gideon's, hang a left, and it'll be down there on the left-hand side. You'll see Raglan Road. It's right next to Cooks of Dublin, which is their quick service location. I really like Raglan Road. Accessibility, I would give it I'd probably give it a 4. I don't know. What do you think?
So, accessibility wise, I would probably give it a 3.5. I'm not, the reason that and I say that because it can get tight. The tables are somewhat close together. I didn't see any not to say that they wouldn't, but that that they would have to take chairs away for a wheelchair to get to fit in there, stuff like that. They had plenty of seating. There's plenty of room, but it's just, it's kind of condensed in there. And you also want to try and be within the view of the stage if you can be, because they put on some really cool Irish dancing. It's not just river dance. They do jigs. They do all these other fun Irish inspired dancing. It's a fantastic Irish pub for what it is, and that's another thing that I like to do. I like to go to pubs. I like to go to British and Irish and Scottish and just that kind of vibe. If I ever owned a bar or anything like that, it would probably be in that vein. As far as food wise, that's something else that I noticed. I was around a lot of different people and foods and everything. The plates that they serve food on are a bit they're a bit deep. Almost bowl-like.
Yeah, they're high on the edges.
Yeah, and for somebody like me, bowls and I don't get along terribly well. I can eat out of them. I just, risk, because of the way that I have to eat, dumping my food on the table or whatever's next to me. I much prefer plates. So I would give, that's the other reason why I gave it a 3.5. But as far as like food and taste, I'd give it a 4. I'd give it a 4.5.
I like the food. I agree with that rating for 4.5. I haven't really ever had anything I didn't like. During like COVID times, the menu got really limited, but that kind of happened everywhere.
Yeah.
Um, so we haven't been back in a while. I would love to head back to Raglan Road one of the next times that we go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yes, for all the reasons that you already said, I agree with the 3.5 to 4 kind of rating for accessibility. The only other thought that I had, if you're traveling with someone that has sensory needs, like we talked about in our previous
Mm-hmm.
2 episodes, it can get loud because you've got the river dancing and the music and the bands, and there's a lot of people. So it can be kind of a challenging location. So maybe check out the menu for Cooks of Dublin.
Mm-hmm.
There may be something like the fish and chips. I know you can get over there, that they are cooked in kind of the same kitchen.
They don't do the shepherd's pie there, do they, at the Cooks of Dublin?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so, because that's the way they do the shepherd's pie is a little messy. So, and it's fantastic, but it would be difficult to get. Like the Cooks of Dublin is, like you said, it's more like their fast service, things. So you can sit there and listen to. They sometimes have a band that performs outside. They did whenever we were there. They had a small like string group play some Irish music out there while we were there, and like I loved it. Luna loved it. The inside is absolutely amazing. It has a tall vaulted roof that has some stained glass to it. So if you look up and it's all the shades of the Irish flag and Irish colors. So it's green, gold, white, blues, occasional reds. So if you like that culture and if you like that immersion, you'll get it there.
Yeah. Yeah, the immersion there is great. The vibe we really like. The food is good. There's just some accessibility kind of challenges. So be sure to, ask if you feel like, hey, this isn't going to work. Maybe we don't want to be in front of the stage. Just advocate for yourself. Ask and say, hey, this might pose a challenge. Can we sit somewhere else? Or, whatever your specific need might be. Don't be too afraid to ask for what you need at any of the locations that we've talked about. I haven't really ever run into a situation where, I asked for something and they've been like, no, we can't help you.
Yeah.
Most places are pretty accommodating and pretty helpful. So, doesn't hurt to ask. See what they can do for you.
One little more side note about Raglan Road. All of the hosts and hostesses that were there on the day that we were all Irish. The wait staff isn't necessarily Irish, but the hosts and the hostesses, when we were there, were, and they were from all different, parts of Ireland. If you've never spoken to anybody from Ireland or anything like that, they were there. I'm trying to remember. I think that the store clerk right there attached to it also was Irish. So if you've never talked to anybody from Ireland, that's an opportunity. That's one of the greatest things about Disney that's wonderful, is they focus so heavily on cultural immersion if it's a culture apart from our own.
Yeah. Yeah, they do such a good job of that, bringing in people from those cultures, and it's just an exciting opportunity that you might not get otherwise.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that is all of our table service bar/bakery, our top 5 for Disney Springs. There are still so many other places. So if you have questions about specific places that we didn't cover, put those in the comments or reach out to us via email at accessibleadventurespod@gmail.com. We can always take more opportunity if y'all are interested in us talking more about food. There's quick service locations and all kinds of other things we could continue to talk about. So let us know in the comments if this was helpful or if you want more information about the dining at Disney Springs.
Woo. Awesome. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Yeah, we'll see you on episode 5 for Hollywood Studios. See you next time.